There we go. All right. Easier than I thought. There we go. And if you do want the free card kit, it's a $35 order. Here's the link to shop with Just Stamp. Here is the host code that you need to use. The other projects, the inspiration, you will find at AnnaMariePalmerin.com. Also, Just Stamp. So hello, Marie. This beautiful beverage is called the Farmer's Daughter. I talked a little bit about it a couple minutes ago. It is very tasty. It has strawberries, basil, some kind of little syrup that was created, and yeah, vodka. That's what makes it a nice little cocktail. So very tasty. I recommend it. And mixologist, as always, did a great job with it. Okay, so watch your eyes. I printed out the flyer on my printer. However, I did not have white paper, so it kind of hurts my eyes, but I wanted you to get a feel for what's in the collection before I get started. So the Fitting Florets Collection, I'm going to put that way up there. It is $97.50. And notice how it says limited time only, because some of the items are only available during the early release period. So the entire collection will include the bundle, which is the stamp set and the coordinating dies. Okay. However, the special stamp set called Framed and Festive, which is perfect for the holidays. This one's a limited time release, as is the designer series paper. Let me show you on the flyer. So it is very pretty paper, florals, and the back can be used during the holiday season because it's got great holiday colors in it. Also for a limited time are the gold adhesive backed swirls, and you're going to see them in the project. If you want the limited time products, they're only available until January 4th. The bundle itself will be in the new spring catalog, and you'll have almost until June to get your hands on that. Okay, so let's keep going with this. I wanted to share, before we get started on the projects, the frames that I think are the best part of this set, this collection, and there are lots of them. I put them inside the stamp set. So we've got the frames, and we have some die cuts for embellishments, and we have some outline die cuts. I think some of them are attached there. Okay, so flip side, let me share with you what I did so that you can see the beauty of these ovals firsthand. And let's see. All right, so I cut some of the die cuts, the frames. So first of all, you get the beautiful oval heart die, and the only thing it's going to cut out are the little hearts. So that creates a beautiful frame. That's what I used on my Scotty thank you card. The cool thing about that is it's great for a shaker card. You also want to hang on to those little hearts that pop out as you're die cutting. Let's see if I can find that for you, because they would be great in your shaker card. So here's the die, and you can see it's got all those little hearts. You're going to get a whole bunch of little heart die cuts. Let's see if you might be able to see some in the shaker card there. I've inserted them into the shaker portion of it. The most ornate die, it's a large die, and the nice thing about that, you're going to get the two. You're going to get the leftover layer that you can stamp or layer on. We also have the ornate one. Now this is pretty elegant. It's just got like little slits all around. You get the second cutout. What's cool about this is you can layer them up. So you could put the ornate one on here, layer it up there, and you still have your window for either shaker card or stamping or some kind of image. This could also layer up over on the hearts. So if you see that, maybe if I put it this way, there you go. So you've got lots of layering. Hello, Debbie Scott. Thank you for joining on this Thursday afternoon happy hour. So another thing I like about the die set are the little embellishments. We've got a spray of leaves and then 2 smaller die cuts for leaves. We've got the pair. So one pass and you can cut all 3 of those. Then it also includes some of the outline dies for the stamped images. So I think there's a couple more. It's 15 dies, I think, is what's in the set. So they're this is magnetic, so it's kind of stealing the dies off of there. So there you go. That is what the die set's all about. Of course, the stamp set is beautiful, but the dies are going to be useful way beyond the stamp set that it coordinates with officially. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to put this away before I start losing things, as Anna Marie does. And we're going to get started with card number 1. And again, if you want this card kit, place the $35 order. Hi, Linda. Welcome in. The card kit will include supplies to make 2 of each of the cards. So it's all cut, prepped, organized, and you'll find 2 sets in each of these envelopes, along with a PDF that will be emailed to you when I'm ready to ship out. Place your order by Sunday. I will cut and prep on Monday and ship out on Tuesday. So that's how it goes. Okay, my friends, let's get started with the first project in the Fitting Florets card. I have a pretty holiday card. It says, "May the season be filled with peace and joy." That sentiment comes from the coordinating stamp set, the Framed and Festive. This one is a cling stamp set, meaning it's red rubber. So you can't see through, but you're going to be able to get a nice impression on your inking every time. So let's see. The PDF that you receive for purchasing or for placing an order gives you all the dimensions as well. I'm going to go through your supplies and then give you the step-by-step on how to create here today. So the card base is going to be soft succulent and it's standard size. It is 8.5 by 5.5. I have a piece of the brushed gold and I pre-cut this so that you wouldn't have to watch me die cutting. Know that this was one piece and I cut right through and I've layered up because you can't see behind the designer series paper. It's the same gold that I used for the layer as well as the frame. It really extends your supplies a little bit. Hello, Marcia. It's okay that you're coming in late. You can catch up with us on the replay or over on YouTube. And it's already evening in Texas. It's barely happy hour here in California. Okay, so also I die cut one of the other frames. So this white, and you will receive this in your kit to die cut. I don't do the die cutting if it's associated with the featured bundle. And also, just to warn you, I don't send stamped images, and that's per Stampin' Up policy. So I went ahead and die cut this frame. You can see I have the leftover oval. We are going to need that. We're going to need our gold layer, and we're going to need the frame. We also need a little bit of white, basic white scrap, because we're going to be stamping our images. We've got 2 flowers and a little spray of leaves. We need a piece of the designer series paper from the coordinating DSP. So this one has some pretty leaves, little berries, and on the flip side, it's a blushing bride soft pink pattern. So let's do our stamping, and then we'll do some coloring and some layering. So I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to be stamping with soft suede. And as I said, this is the, let's just make sure I've got it all right here. Okay, so I'm going to be stamping on the oval, and I'm going to stamp with the sentiment that says, "May the season be filled with peace and joy." So this will make very pretty holiday cards. And these are perfect for mass production. They will go fairly fast once you've got everything selected. And I'm just going to stamp almost center in the oval. And I'm trying to pay attention to keep it straight because this is not a circle, it's an oval, and alignment matters. So I'm pressing down firmly. There we go. There's our sentiment. We also are going to stamp a couple of flowers and a little spray of leaves, and because the fitting florets or flame florets are, those are hard to say, the alliteration's too much. It's like, it's gonna trip me up, let's just say that. Because the, let's see, the frame florets is a photopolymer stamp set, I do wanna use my piercing mat, and I've got it wrapped with some scrap paper so that I don't ruin my piercing mat. Now I am stamping in crumb cake. I'm going to stamp 2 of the little flowers that are included in the stamp set. So there's a larger one. There is a smaller posy, crumb cake, and there is also a little branch that I'm going to stamp in soft succulent. So let's see. Right like so, and I'm going to cheat in just a second. There we go. So these are the images that you're going to need for the card. I have pre-die cut some of these. So I know a lot of people struggle with stamping directly on the die cut when it's photopolymer. Let's see if I can do this. That way I don't have to break open the cut and emboss machine. And by the way, these dies are compatible with the mini cut and emboss machine. Let's see how I'm going to do here. I'm usually pretty good at this, but I hesitate to say that when you're on camera, things go wrong. And I think this is not the best. It's not. I'm going to die cut. I'm going to go ahead and die cut because I'm going to be wanting to use this card. I don't want to have it wasted because I didn't do nice stamping. So good chance to show you the machine. Here's the mini, and I am going to move these ink pads out of the way before I get inky. And I'm going to use my platform number 3, cutting pad 2. There we go. Now I've got to get my dies out since I'm cutting for you. We need the little spray of leaves or the little branch. And originally I used some washi tape, and being that I thought I was going to get away with stamping on the die cut, I didn't come prepared with washi. However, another tool I use sometimes is the Post-it note to make sure it sticks on there and stays in position. Whoops, I'm gonna want it, there we go. I'm gonna press down to make sure it stays there. And there are dies for both of the little flowers. You just kind of have to turn them, and I stamped kind of close. I should have spread it out a little bit because I had a nice big piece. And let's do this. I'm gonna have to run it through twice. So let's see. What I have found, there we go, is you still get a little bit of outline white on this floral image. And if that bothers you, you can always go in and remove some of the excess white. Now I'm gonna get another Post-it and secure that down. I need my second pad, and I'm going to crank this through. Right here. Let me get these off. The nice thing is that you can usually reuse either the washi or the Post-it notes, so it's not being wasteful. And I need to do one more of die cut. I need the smaller flower right here. And to find the right place, sometimes I'll just rotate it until it's aligned. Some of the dies are tricky that way, but if you just keep turning, rotating until you get the right positioning, it works fine. Then I'm going to cut that. All right, and grab, and I'm trying to be disciplined and put the dies away as I use them. Raise your hand if you ever find yourself losing dies, and it's always the smallest pieces. And it's so frustrating because, let's face it, if you want that small piece, you have to buy a complete new set. You can't buy just that one die, which is frustrating, right? Okay, so let me bring in my flowers, and the flowers are not colored. That's why I stamp them in crumb cake. So if you wanted to put some color on them, absolutely you could. Let's see. Let me bring in. I am going to be coloring the leaves with the soft succulent blend and just a tiny bit of color in here to bring up those leaves, make them pop up just a tiny bit. And I'm using the pen tip because the leaves are kind of small and I don't want to go outside the lines too much. It's not critical. Nothing ever is in handcrafting, right? Because that just makes it special. And I'm just putting down the smallest amount of color on each of the little leaves. So make sure that you calendar Thursday afternoons now, since we're doing happy hour on Thursday, no longer Friday. And again, if you want this kit, you need to place your order by Sunday night. Okay, so there are my elements that I'm going to want for the card. I'm going to do a little bit more coloring. You might have seen I had my cherry cobbler blend. That is because I'm going to come in and add some color to the background. These little berries are just begging for some color, just like so. And so really easy, I'm using the brush tip. And I'm not too concerned about going right up to the corner because the ink on the blends kind of seeps out. So you don't have to worry about shaping it perfectly. It's all going to blend out or bleed out. And then again, you don't have to worry about the berries in the center because our pretty frame is going to be covering the center. We just want to add a pop of red for the holidays. And it's kind of cool the way you can embellish your designer series paper, add a little bit of color to it, and you can customize it too. So all right, so there is my background. I am going to secure this to the brushed gold, not to be confused with the distressed gold. This is the brushed. It comes in a pack with the silver and the dark metallic as well. So this is going to just be placed on this border, and I think I'm going to use some of my Stampin' Seal. Hopefully it will cooperate with me. And I'm looking around for my, oh, there it is. Sometimes it's helpful for me to apply my adhesive on a piercing mat or even the silicone mat. So I just want to make sure this is sticky. And you might wonder, Anna Marie, what about your favorite go-to adhesive, right? Which is, raise your hand if you know what my favorite adhesive is. Let's see if anybody guesses, or if you know, because if you follow me weekly, you know what adhesive I love to use. It's very forgiving, it's very economical, I always have it handy. All right, so I've got that together. The next thing I'm gonna do, the green glue, Sandy's got it right, Tombow multi-purpose glue. But that can get kind of messy on the foil papers, so that's why I use the seal in place. Now this one, it's going paper to paper, right? So I can use the Tombow and I have a bottle nearby at all times. This is going to go right directly onto the designer series paper. Just going to layer it up, right? I am going to apply the frame. This time I'm going to use mini dimensionals, and I'm going to place them right. They're just the right size for this frame. And I gave it lots of support to probably use between 6 or 8. You want to have it supported nicely. And as I said, the minis are sized just right for this little job. And I'm going to give it one more there. Okay, so now I'm going to add this frame. Just need to reveal the sticky. Right in here. And just gonna be carefully add the layer. It will fit right over our white oval. There we go. And I can now add this to my card base, which is soft succulent. And I'm gonna grab my bone folder and add. Burnish the fold so it's nice and flat. There we go. And I'm going to add, I could use any adhesive to add that. I'm going to use my fave and just kind of be generous with it. And you're going to have a small border all the way around. Right in there. Okay, so next I am going to add my little embellishments that I stamped, and I'm going to put the little branch of leaves. I'm going to add that with a dimensional on the side here. And I'm going to abut it to the frame, and I'm going to make sure that that dimensional is not stacked onto the frame because I don't want to double stack my dimensionals. And then I've got my little flower, my larger flower, I should say, and I'm going to put a dimensional at the bottom petal and push that right up to the leaf branch and add my second. This is the smaller posy. And let's see, I'm going to put that. I'm being very strategic about where I put my dimensionals so that I'm not double stacking. There we go. Now you probably think that looks pretty bland because I didn't color it, so let me fish around. I have the beautiful adhesive backed gold swirl embellishments. That's a mouthful. And I'm going to put one in the center of each one of these little flowers, which is going to make it pop. Like, can you have too much gold? Probably, but this won't be that case. And there is no cherry cobbler ribbon in the catalog currently, so I'm going to create my own. I've got about 12 inches of the crinkled seam binding. It's white, and you know what I'm going to do with it, right? I'm going to add my cherry cobbler blend to it. We're going to create some cherry cobbler ribbon. That's what I love. I love it when the white crinkle ribbon is available because I can make any color ribbon I want. Just, it only needs one little stroke over there. You don't have to saturate. And it's quick drying this way because it's alcohol based, right? So it goes really quickly. It also kind of changes the texture of it. It makes it really easy to work with. It kind of stiffens it up, which is a good thing. And you can see how quick this goes. There we go. And how about a bow? I'm just going to create a big floppy bow with this. Well, try to even it out so both ears are about right. And this will get added with a nice little mini glue dot. Let's see if I have that handy. And I like going direct to the mini glue dot on the tape. That way I can avoid having a struggle, because the glue dot usually wins. And this is going to go right below here. And let's see, I think we have a card, right? There is my Season's greeting card. Really pretty. It showcases that beautiful frame, and you can see the detailing created on that. I love these little slits around the frame. It makes it look really elegant, kind of vintage looking, and pretty simple, right? So there's card number 1. If you place your order, you're going to get the kit for 2 of these cards. Let's keep going, my friends. Let's go on to card number 2. Let me kind of tidy up a little bit here. Card number 2 is going to be another Christmas card. Thank you, Marcia. And this one showcases another designer series paper from this stack. Look at that beautiful Night of Navy background with the little leaves. And they are in balmy blue, and there's a splash of polished pink. So another simple card. This one I have prepped as well. So I did some die cutting, and I did the embossing on the layer. I embossed because from our home to yours, it's a pretty Christmas mood card. I embossed with Merry Melody. It's a 3D embossing folder. You can see the little musical notes. So I've got that going on. I have a strip. This time I used the silver foil paper, and I'm going to add a little accent to that pretty patterned paper that's going to get layered up there. And just to show you, this time I am using just the oval, no frame. So I went ahead and I took that slitted frame. That's going to be available for another project. I'm just wanting the oval to stamp on. And I am using punches from 2 different punches here. One is the evergreen border. So I've got a little border with silver trees. And I'm also using some of the stars from the Starlit Punch. And if you order your kit, those are going to be included in your kit. So I've already got punches for you. And let's get started. Standard card base in balmy blue. I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish. All right. So remember, if you pop in late, you can catch the replay, or if you want to speed things up, you can click over to the Just Stamp with Anna Marie channel over on YouTube. And what I love about that is that you can do it on double speed or speed 1.5. Usually I watch my videos on double speed. That way I don't have to stay for the entire hour. Just took a sip of my farmer's daughter. There we go. All right, so again, I'm gonna layer this up. I'm gonna add a little streak of seal right through there. And again, it's nice because the green glue, as some people refer to it, or the multi-purpose glue, can get messy, especially with the foil papers. If it leaks out, and it creates a different texture. Okay, so I've got a little peak of silver there. This is going to be adhered to my textured layer, and this time I can use my fave, right through there. And I want to make sure I have some in the corners, because that's the important part, right? There we go. And I'm going to push it over from the right about 1/4 inch. Oh, my new puppies love the doggy door. They just think they're big dogs coming in and out of that door all day long. It's kind of like kids when they can go out to play. I just love it outside. And it's kind of nice that I don't have to get up and keep opening that door to let them in and out. They're having too much fun with it. Okay, so I have my layer here. This is going to be layered onto the card base. And again, this one's flat adhered. And I think I'm coming to the end of this little bottle. However, here's my tip. When I think I've come to the end on the fine tip, I'll stand it up and let the glue flow to the bottom, and then I can usually get a few more cards out of that brush tip on the other side. So don't waste. There's still plenty left in that container. All right, so we've got that going on. Let's do some stamping. I'm going to stamp from Our Home to Yours. It's still from the Framed and Festive stamp set that coordinates. And this time I am using the Night of Navy ink pad. And my drink is very tasty, Marcia. You're absolutely right. I love it. It's very fresh and it's kind of light. And the mixologist, my personal mixologist, knows that I don't like my drink too strong because I'm a lightweight. After one cocktail, if it's a heavy one, I just want to go take a nap. And it's kind of early in the day, or kind of late in the day to be taking a nap. So here we go. Oh, that would be Fergus. I don't know if you can hear them. I know their voices pick up loud. All right. All right, from Our Home to Yours. And what I'm going to do, you do not have to do this step if you don't want to. You can. In fact, I'm going to do this one non. This one, I did a little bit of splatter. You can kind of see it in the background there, just kind of like the evening sky. This one I'm going to leave clean. And there are two camps. Some people like splatter, some people don't. So the choice is yours. If you like it, go for it. And if you like it nice, clean, white, then you can omit that step. So I'm adding this oval greeting. And again, that's one of the great things about this die set is, yay, we have ovals again. And this is just going to be placed right on this layer, and it's kind of off of the silver right there. And I even pre-punched. We're going to have that nice big star from the Starlit Punch. This is popped up on a dimensional because I just love the way the cards look when they have some dimension to them. This is going to go right up here. We have one of the smaller stars from the same punch. This time I'm just going to put a little tiny glue dot. Let's see if I can help myself out here, because sometimes it's hard to pick up these little pieces. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick and just use that to plop that right down. Now let's deal with the little trees, and I am going to put a mini dimensional on the right, on the lower right and the lower left to pop that up. So all the way to the lower edge. And you know what? I'm going to take my snips and kind of shape this just a little bit because I gave it a full straight cut. So I'm just going to kind of maneuver that around that tree and give it more of a little trimmed look. Okay, so then I also am going to put a little dot of liquid glue. I want to adhere the treetops to the oval so that it's not insecure when it slides in and out of the envelope. This is going to go full up here. And I'm trying, there we go. So I've got flat adhesive behind the treetops and a little dimensional off on each lower side. We're not done yet. We still need to add our little pizzazz. So I'm going to pick up my Wink of Stella. Oh, by the way, that's what I forgot on my previous card. I knew I had forgotten something. The berries. This is your free gift with your $50 order. So I use the Wink of Stella first on the May the Season card. I put it right on the berries. It really adds, who knew, one little stroke of glimmer or shine, it really finishes off a card nicely. So there is, for the previous card, for this card, here's what I did. I put the Wink of Stella, and sometimes you need to squeeze a little bit. The Wink of Stella goes right on the petals of these balmy blue leaves. It's going to create a nice frosty background. So kind of like what we did with the previous card, we colored the paper. This time we're adding the shimmer to the paper. So just a few strokes. And again, very simple cards, easy to mass produce because we've got all the pretty elegant elements to create the card. So there we go. There's our second card from Our Home to Yours. Whoops, landed there. So there's card number 2 of the Fitting Floret card class. We have one more card to do. And this card is going to feature one of the stamps, one of the stars of the framed florets stamp set. So let's see, I'm trying. Here we go. I am using that beautiful spray of flowers, and we're going to use a sentiment from this stamp set, from the framed florets. Oh, that's hard to say. Too much alliteration. Okay, so let me clean up just a little, get things out of the way here, because somehow my worktop gets cluttered. And I'm going to need my blends. I don't need my... And let me bring in the elements that we need here. So we have a basic white card base. And let's see. There we go. And we have a swatch of the coordinating DSP. I'm using that Evening Evergreen Gingham. I have a layer of Evening Evergreen cardstock. Thank you, Marcia. She likes the thank you card. I think it's pretty simple too, and it's easy to make. And another card that can be mass produced. We need a basic white layer. We need a basic white scrap for stamping. We need a small bow. I made this from the Open Weave Evening Evergreen sheer ribbon. All right, I am going to need 2 little die cuts of those leaves I shared with you earlier. I cut them in cherry cobbler. Well, thank you, Barbara. She says the cards are all beautiful. You're too kind. I appreciate the compliment. Okay, so let's see if I'm going to be able to manage to stamp on the die cut. Let's start with that before I start losing things. Okay, so second time's a charm, right? Or is that the third time? Let's see if this one works out. And I just did this so I wouldn't have to die cut in front of you, but if I have to, it's no big deal. And I think the key is to be directly over top. That's why when I'm crafting, I'm usually standing. And yeah. And I'm trying to make sure, let's see, fingers crossed I do a better job. And I think I'm just gonna have to stamp down. And I think this one's gonna be okay. It's not too bad. I'm gonna fix it just a tiny bit. And the reason I'm gonna accept this one is a lot of it's gonna be covered, right? So that's been stamped. I'm gonna take my take my soft succulent blend, and I'm gonna color in the leaves. And we're not finished with the stamping yet. I'm going to bring in my favorite positioning tool, the Stamparatus. Some people call it the Stampasaurus. Whatever, it does an awesome job for precise placement, as well as it would be an awesome tool for mass production. So you'll see how easy this is going to be to mass produce. So you can see part of it is kind of off the die. So what I'm going to do, and I do this a lot when I'm doing a little bit more precise cutting, I just take my paper snips and fix it, right? It's easy to do. Just trim around that extra. I'm just going to come in here and up through here. There we go. And a couple more spots. And as I said, this really isn't critical. I might not even need to be doing this because you're going to see a lot of this is layered over. So I'm going to place that there. All right, so let's get to the stamping. And I am going to bring in Let me make sure I've got some space here. I'm going to bring in that piece of basic white and bring in my, oh, the one thing I forgot. Yikes. Let's see, I'm going to have to ad lib here. So the one thing I need to do, I'm going to stamp my sentiment, thank you with all my heart. And, oh, I think I should have cleaned this because I created another card where I stamped in black. This one I'm going to be stamping in Cherry Cobbler. So let me clean that off. So a couple things I'm going to need that I'm not prepared with, but that's okay. I'll actually be able to show you how I did everything. So Cherry Cobbler again, ink up, and this goes right up into the corner. It's a horizontal card, so I'm going to put that paper in there horizontally, ink down, and that goes right in the center. And what's really cool about the Stamparatus is if you don't get the nice bold stamping that you want, in which case I did, you can always ink again and stamp. So the next thing I'm going to do, I am going to bring in my Evening Evergreen, and I have to create something before. I need to create a mask in here. So let's see if I've got that handy. So let me see if I can. I'm going to do this. Remove that window, and I'm going to push this aside just for time being. I am going to create a mask that is about 1 3/8 inches wide. And this is just copy paper because I'm just making a mask. I'm going to bring back in my Stamparatus right here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to cover up my sentiment because I'm going to stamp my spray of flowers, but I don't want to stamp over my sentiment. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that down, and ooh, I was going to use temporary adhesive, but I just realized my temporary adhesive is at the repair shop. All right, so I am going to take my Evening Evergreen, easier said than done, oh, it's right here, and stamp down. So ink up, stamp down, and I make sure I've got an, I do have a tool to rub that and get the ink on. I don't have it at the ready. I'm going to ink up again because I want the outline a little bit darker. Again, this is Evening Evergreen that I'm inking up with. Yeah, okay, so then, and here's the thing with that positioning. I really wanted it to stick there, but, rats. Let's see if I can hold it in place with a Post-it. Let's do that. I just don't want it to shift. And that's the reason that I had, there we go. Now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to have to ad lib here. I need that a little bit shorter because what I'm going to do is take my basic white and I'm going to rotate it 180, put it right up into position so that it's directly opposite. Whoops, you do not want your magnets to clamp together. Whoops. All right, so then ink up. And again, I'm going to close that sheet, that window, and let's see what I got. And I'm going to ink up one more time. Close that window, ink down. Alrighty, here we go. Next, let's have a look. Let's do the reveal, and I'm going to move the magnet because I don't want to lock them together. I'm going to go ahead and remove my mask layer. There we go. I'm happy with it. There we go. And I am going to trim this down just a tad because I've got a layer. I cut the basic white the exact same size. Of course, I want that evening evergreen layer to peek out. So I am going to cut with my trimmer a tad from all sides. So all I'm going to do right now, this is what, 4 1/4. I'm going to take off like 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And you might say, like, why don't you just take it off one side? Because I want it, my image is right now centered, and I want it to stay centered on the basic white. So that's the reasoning for that. You could chop off on one side only, but it would kind of shift the image, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so let's have a look, see how I managed. All right, so I'm happy with that. I am going to go ahead and color up my little image here, and I'm going to take my Stampin' Blends. The leaves are in Soft Succulent. Oops, I colored a flower in Soft Succulent. We'll have to color over and see how that turns out. Should be fine. So pretty simple. I'm using the pen tip. These leaves are tiny. And I'm just applying the Soft Succulent to the leaves. And I'm going to rotate and do the same on the other inking. So these little flowers, I think they could be colored in lots of different colors. I'm not sure what kind of flower they're supposed to be. I wanted them to be more of a Christmas flower, which is why I colored them in Cherry Cobbler, making them kind of look like a poinsettia inspired flower. But I could easily see them in pinks and yellows, leaving it white, lots of options. There we go. Oh my gosh, the pups must have gone to sleep because I don't hear them now. It's always so nice. And yet, I always wonder, like, why can't I hear anything? They might be up to mischief, right? When things get too quiet. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and color in the flowers, and I will tell you, and we're going to get to check the previous sample that was prepared in advance. I actually colored with my paintbrush and ink from the pad. This one I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to go just with the Stampin' Blend. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes not, but we'll see what the difference is. See if you like the blend or the brush better. And they're both great coloring techniques. The nice thing with the painter brush and the ink pad is that you don't have to buy an additional tool. You already have ink. You could get it off the pad, or you could get it off the refill bottle, but it's kind of nice because you don't have to keep investing in more coloring tools. And having said that, the blends are amazing. They make anybody look like an artist. So these are going to be 3 cards from the Fitting Florets Collection. If you skip over to the blog, you're going to see more inspiration, and I'm sure all over the internet, if you if you click over to other crafters, you're going to see a lot more samples because this was just released to all shoppers on Tuesday. Demonstrators have had this for about a month, so we got to play, but it just opened up to all shoppers on Tuesday, which is why you're seeing it on the internet. And of course, I would love it if you shopped in my store. I will gladly send you the card kit and the PDF. And if your order is $50 or more, you will receive the free Wink of Stella that we're using to embellish the projects. And also, I should also say, online orders also qualify to receive the free monthly tutorial, the Fun Fold Fanatics monthly tutorial. So you get lots of goodies when you shop with me. And let's see, I could possibly, I wonder what my brush tip is like. Let's give it a go. Sometimes I'm embarrassed with my tips because I do have in-person classes and I share my tools, and sometimes they get a little beaten and I do need to replenish them more often than the average bear would, but sometimes I also hold out as long as I can to get a replacement. The brush tip makes it go a little bit faster. Okay, we're almost done. I'm gonna add a little bit of color in the center. I'm taking my crushed curry Stampin' Up marker, and I'm just gonna put in a little yellow in the center of the flowers. Brings in some color there. All right, there we go. And we are ready to assemble the cards. This goes on to our mat, flat adhered. And I can use my fave. Right, like so. I'm gonna be a little bit generous so it doesn't pop off. Right in there. And I think I need a break, so let me take a little sip of my farmer's daughter. Very tasty. All right, this is going to be adhered with dimensionals, so I'm going to go ahead and apply them. I know I'm not ready for them just yet, but I can add them since we've got it at the ready right here. Okay, so there's that layer, and I'm going to add my little leaf branch that we prepared earlier, and this is flat adhered. It's just going to go straight onto my focal point. And then I have, again, 2 of the little die cuts from the die set, and these are going to be adhered with a mini glue dot. So right here, one goes in one direction, and the other right up to the top. There we go. That is going to be our focal point. Let me bring in my card base, the basic white. I'm going to burnish that. Thank you, Marcia. Marcia says beautiful card. So it's kind of like my style. I like a little bit of stepping up, but I don't like too complicated. And I want to be able to complete cards I mean, fairly quickly. I don't want it to be a masterpiece every time. Sometimes I do, but I want to make them real. Sometimes we crafters want to use too much and too many techniques and too many products, and it creates beautiful avid cards that we call, but sometimes the cards can be intimidating too. Like, that's a lot. So this is totally just stamp style. So I've got a nice little layer of the evening evergreen gingham, and I love the gingham. and I think it makes it look really festive. There we go. Then this gets adhered, and I like, again, the dimension from this layer. Going to add that right there. And then finally, well, I shouldn't say finally, I'm going to add my bow. Actually, I'm going to wait on the bow because the next thing I'm going to do is brush those flowers with my Wink of Stella. And so you can see what it looks like now. You're going to see again in a second. The Wink of Stella brings out every little petal on these flowers. So pretty. You get just the right amount of shimmer on it. And it's pretty easy to brush on. When you feel like your brush tip is getting a little bit dry, just give a squeeze to the cylinder. It releases a little bit more of the fluid, and it makes it just kind of come alive, really shiny. Thank you, Marcia. It's funny, I was at the gym this morning and we were talking about thank you cards and how nice it is to have a stash of them, because if sometimes I don't have mine handy and I wait a day or two thinking I'm going to make one, 2 days go, 3 days go, pretty soon a week is gone, and I'm wondering, like, oh, and I'm kicking myself thinking, oh my gosh, is it too late to send that thank you card? And of course the answer is no, but it's just so much easier when you can grab it and it's done. Okay, so there is the shimmer with the Wink of Stella, and again, I'm not sure if you can see, it makes a big difference. Now I'm ready to add my bow. And if you place your order with me, you will get the little bows made for you in advance. That's included in your kit. I know some people like to make bows and some people don't. I don't mind because I have a cool little bow making tool to make pretty small bows. Pretty small, pretty bows. There we go. And there is my thank you with all my heart card. And now let's see if you can tell. This is the card I created in advance. This is the one that's watercolored, and this is the one that is colored with the blends. And it's hard to tell the difference. I don't know. I think, honestly, I like the watercolor effect because it gives different tones, different transparencies, but the blends are a little bit easier. So you have two options. Both are very pretty. So there we go. There's the class that you can get for free. You will get two, or the supplies to make 2 of each of the cards that we just crafted now. $35 gets you the free card kit. $50 plus gets you the card kit plus a free Wink of Stella and a PDF so that you can reproduce these at home anytime. Whenever you're ready to. All right, so remembering this collection is not in a catalog. You have to find it online, or it will be in the upcoming mini. You can click over to stampinup.com or shop with Just Stamp. There's my host code. Place your order by Sunday night and I will send you the free kit and a gift, including the PDF, the Fun Fold Fanatics PDF. So yeah, Corinne says she loves the one with the gold. So that makes it really elegant, right? That beautiful frame. And it's a very pretty frame with just those little slits. However, I do as well like that little heart frame. It's really sweet too. So I can see lots of Valentine's Day cards made with that heart frame. And yeah, so there's still a fancier frame that I didn't get to share with you yet. But again, you are going to see this beautiful collection all over the internet because it was just released this week and crafters are doing all kinds of amazing things with it. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining in my new time or my new day. I appreciate you clicking by. If you came in late or if you had to leave early, click over to YouTube, Just Stamp with Anna Marie, and you can watch the entire video again at your own speed. And until then, have a wonderful weekend. Thanks so much for joining.